What's up everybody and welcome to another video. This is the second video in my Abbadon the Spoiler painting series and I'm focusing on his epic black armor. Let's be real, painting black armor is kind of intimidating and in the past I've always struggled with this. But for this guy, I searched the internet and came across one of Vince's hobby cheating videos on value sketching and boy oh boy, this technique was a game changer for me. It's not that difficult, so I think that anyone can do it. It forces you to focus on value and glazing, which are fundamentals to miniature painting from what I've been learning. In the end, it produced results that really surprised me. The armor here has this nice, cool, metallic, worn look, and I'm shocked that I was able to produce this. So with that, let's get into the approach. Generally, you would start a value sketch with a zenithal prime, but because I already painted the face and I don't have a fancy airbrush, I decided to just use stippling instead. The idea here is to sketch out where light would hit the model using bright colors, and then after that go in with your glazes to smooth transitions and darken recesses. For the colors, or for the highlight colors, I'm using a desaturated purple color. I got this by mixing black, white, and purple together until I was happy with the color. And then after that, I used a very light blue for the highest highlights. These two colors are what create the very cool color effect on the armor. For warmer looking armor, you can use reds or yellows instead. For glazes, I used two colors. The first was whole red, and this acted as my lower mid-tone color and just introduced some red into the armor, and then Abbadon black for the darkest shadows. That's the overall approach. Let's go. All right, for the first layer, this is going to be the stippling layer. I'm going for a paint that's a little bright. I don't want something that's too dark, but I definitely want something that's a little bit more desaturated. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add white. You can see how this is kind of taking the purple out of the purple. And then I'm going to just add black to darken it down. Because the way that this is going to work is the purple is going to be the midtone or upper midtone. The white is going to be the brightest highlight. And then the glaze is going to act as the transition color of the midtone. It might be a little bit too much paint on here, so I'm going to take some off. Because I want the stippling to be a little bit rough. I don't want it to put on a smooth coat. I think that's pretty good. So let's see. I'll start here. When stippling this color on, I'm imagining the light hitting the model from his upper left side, so I'm focusing on areas where light would hit. I'm not looking for a smooth coat here. Instead, I want the layer to be rough to add texture to the armor. Abbadon's black armor is ancient modified cataphracti Terminator armor and a relic of the Horus Heresy, so I want his armor to look worn but well taken care of. Like light is definitely going to reflect there. Light is going to reflect here. Now this is more of an interesting shape. So because it's scooped down here, I think the light is actually going to reflect down here. And then up top here. In the last clip, you can see that this method is forcing me to start thinking in shapes versus just trying to edge highlight the model everywhere. Like on his leg here, for example, this is a cylindrical shape, so I know that the light is going to reflect in the area that I'm applying the paint. If I wasn't using this method, I would probably just edge highlight this section, around the part that is next to the piping on his leg. And there you go. Now, Abbadon looks like an Emperor's Children guy, but he's clearly not. So the next thing to do is to put our highest highlights. All right, so I got my blue on my palette, and quite simply, I'll be doing the exact same thing that I did with the purple, but just in a smaller area. Because these are both cool colors, I think they're gonna make the armor have a nice cold look to it versus a warm look. And the texture here, if I wanna get more moisture out, you can just do it that way. This is the step where I think I started to see this coming together. I'm putting the light blue here on the areas that would catch the most light. So for example, the edge of his armor plates and any kind of cylindrical shape like his shoulder plate or arm, I was putting it on the area that would be most facing, or the most light facing area. Being very deliberate, like right here. And the cool thing about this value sketch is you can really start to see, like, I mean, it looks rough, but it actually looks really good, even though it's rough. Like, it looks like black armor. So, I mean, of course we're gonna glaze on top of it to make it look extra cool, but, and the thing about it is it's actually quite easy. You don't have to be super precise. You can kind of just see, look, we're already almost done with this one section. All right, now up top here, this is like a curved shape. It's like shaped like this, you know, so you know this type of shape is easy. You know the light is gonna hit most right at the center, so I just have to hit that part right there. All right, and this is where we're at. It's looking pretty good. Now from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go onto the glazes. Let's go. All right, my first glaze is gonna be a brown color, and this is whole red. It's a little bit of a reddish brown. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna water this down to a glaze consistency. And I want it to be kind of dark, so I'm gonna add a little bit of black to it. And I'm using a size 0. I wanna use a pretty small brush here. And when wicking the moisture, I don't wanna get all the moisture out of the brush. I just wanna get enough. So all I do is I just tap it a couple times. And then to show you the consistency of the glaze, this is literally where we're at. It's extremely, I probably need some more moisture off, but it's very thin. The darkest area is back, so I'll start here and I'm just gonna glaze in. And this is just gonna add a tiny bit of red to this armor. You can see it has a really cool looking color here. And I'm always pushing towards the darkest area. That's the approach I'm gonna take here. On the back side here, I'm gonna push towards the dark area again. What I've found is that this method really teaches you how to control the pigments in the paint. When you push the brush down into an area, it will leave a puddle of pigments at the point where you lift up your brush. This is where the color will be darkest when it dries, and this is what creates that glaze or gradient. And the nicest thing about this method is that you can actually do it as many times as you want until you're satisfied with the result. Like if you want the metal to look brighter in certain spots, you can just always reapply your stippling, and then you just reglaze on top, and you just repeat until you're happy with the way it looks. All right, I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. I'm gonna go to my black. So it's literally the same technique, it's just this time I'm using Abbadon black. Because this is black, it's gonna have much stronger, it's gonna be really dark. Like you can kind of see on my thumbnail how dark it is. And the way I do it with black is I don't actually, unless I really want to darken it, I'm gonna just go over really the darkest areas here. You can kind of see here that it's really blackening the armor. There you go. This actually might be too thick. I still want nice transitions. Here. All right, guys, this is turning out like way better than I expected. I am really happy with this method so far. All I've been doing for the past couple minutes, or really the past hour, is just glazing on black slowly and trying to create some smoother transitions. But because there's not a lot of space between the light and the dark, it's really making this armor look like a worn metallic look, and it just looks really cool. When we get around to doing the trim, it's gonna look awesome. From here, it was just a matter of touching up the model by repeating the previous steps on different sections of the armor. In my case, I restippled certain areas with purple and white to rebrighten them, and then after that, I reglazed brown and black to smooth out the transitions in those areas. Something that's cool with this method is that it can take as long or as little as you want and produce as refined results as you care to put the time into. To be honest, with this method, a first pass can produce really good looking results and require minimal touch-up, which kind of makes this a potential method for painting the armor on entire armies. In fact, I'm thinking about trying this out on my Death Guard and any future Black Legionaries that I get. Now, painting Abbadon's armor using value sketching has changed the way I think about mini painting in a couple of key ways. The first is mini painting is more about painting light in contrast than color, and not everything needs to be base coated, washed, and edge highlighted, although I really enjoy that style of painting. The second thing is black and dark colors are made up of more colors than just black, and those colors can greatly impact how cold or hot the color scheme of your mini looks. The third is that thinking in shapes can help a lot with placing highlights on the model, and your transitions don't actually have to be ultra smooth to really sell a dramatic lighting effect. And lastly, it reminded me that when learning a new technique, I need to be patient and trust the process and not be afraid to mess up my model. Initially, it may not turn out right, but that's okay. It happens. And with practice, things can be refined and models can always be revisited. Well, anyways, if you enjoyed this or learned something new, drop a like and let me know what you're working on. I'd love to hear what techniques you're looking into and your thoughts on value sketching. In the next video, I'll be working on the trim and I'm planning to use non-metal metallic painting method, which is a little ambitious for me, but I'm just gonna go for it. If you don't wanna miss it, subscribe and I will catch you in the next one.